Good morning, everybody. Buenos dias. How are you feeling this morning? How are you feeling on day 198 of the year? According to 365 Tao by Deng Ming Dao, our word on day 198 is conservation. So grab your book, grab your journal and something to write with. Find a nice quiet and comfy place where you're not going to be disturbed for the next 15 minutes or so while we read together. If you can be outside in nature like I am this morning, watching the natural world wake up, watching the cycle of the morning, watching the cycle of a new day unfold, I always encourage you to do that. The birds are especially chirpy this morning, so it's beautiful to be outside. Take a few deep breaths in with long exhales out to relax and down-regulate your nervous system. Be here and now, be present and ready to start reading together on day 198 on the subject of conservation. Don't let a thread fall without noticing it. Don't rake dry brown leaves carelessly. Think how difficult it was for something to take this existence. Frugality is lauded in almost every culture. Nearly all of us have been taught to conserve and save. Those who do not waste and yet do not become misers are the most admirable. We can be aware of conservation every day. We should think whether what we discard can be reused and recycled. We should consider whether our expenditures are really necessary. We should be aware if we are wasting our time and efforts on frivolous activities. We should not abuse our environment with garbage, pollutants, and recreational activities. So that might be an interesting thing to think about as we reflect on those first couple of sentences of this passage, that word conservation. And there's lots of different examples of conserving here. You know, are you recycling when you should be, or do you just get lazy and throw everything in the same trash can? You know, when you think about expenditures that you're spending throughout the day, are you really buying things that are necessary and that you need, or are you wasting your money on things that, as it says here, are just frivolous activities? You shouldn't be abusing the environment with garbage, pollutants and things. So have a few moments to think now about what you're expending. And that doesn't always have to just be about money either. You're expending your energy. Think about where you're putting your time and energy. Is it on something frivolous, or is it on something that's actually going to be rewarding in the long term? Are you putting your energy into people that drain you, or are you putting your energy into a reciprocal exchange? Have a think about that expenditure, and it doesn't just have to be about finances. Moving on. Conservation is impossible without a sound understanding of the wholeness of cycles. Unless we remember how precious something is, how much effort it took for it to come into being, we will not value it. Unless we think about its proper transformation into its next phase, a leaf withering, a flower browning, a lake drying up, we will not know our relation to it. Everything lives or dies in its own time. That is going to be a great journaling prompt and something I'm going to reread right here. Everything lives or dies in its own time. Everything goes through the cycle of life to death. Every single thing that is alive as you know it right now is going to go through that cycle, including yourself. It's an important reminder. We too are part of the same cycles, only we have the option of contemplating and acting within the context. To do so with grace and awareness is the essence of one who follows Tao. Wow, lots of beautiful lessons in today's passage. I really like thinking about the cycles of everything, but particularly the cycle of life. We're born, we live, and then we die, and that applies to everything that's alive. So think about how that cycle is happening to everything around you, including yourself. Also think about, as I said here, expenditure, and not just in the financial sense. Think about the energetic resources that you have and how you're expending those, and perhaps you could be conserving them, because that's what today's passage is all about. When you're moving through your home today, perhaps think about conserving water. Don't be frivolous with how you use it. Perhaps separate your garbage and put your recyclables into something. Think about conservation and think about how you spend your time, how you spend your money, how you spend your energy, because expenditure isn't just about finances, it's about everything that you do. And as we've often said, our time is our most valuable resource. So use it wisely and invest in people that are reciprocating your level of investment. You want to have win-win relationships with everybody that's in your life. You don't want to be attached to anybody that's draining or bringing you down. You want to be in a balanced exchange. Of course, it's harmonious, it's give and take. Sometimes you're going to need a little more and sometimes you're going to give a little more. That's what relationships are all about. It's all about the cycle of balance. But there's lots of wonderful things to think about in today's passage, so I invite you to reread it in your own time. Think about conservation, think about expenditure, and think about the cycle of life. Everything lives and dies in its own time. So lots to think about today. Thank you so much for being here for 198 days of this year so far, and I will check in with you tomorrow.